Today's story is about a guy who spent 2.5 years being somebody's whole support system. Drove through snowstorms for her, stayed up all night at hospitals, planned trips when she was stressed, paid half the rent like clockwork. And then he found out she'd been telling her fancy new coworkers he was basically her roommate. A convenience thing. The guy who helps with rent. That's a direct quote. So he decided to do something brilliant. He made her version of events come true. And the way he pulled it off is why I love this channel. Let's get into it. My girlfriend told her coworkers I was just her roommate, so I made it official. So yeah, this happened, and I'm still kind of processing it, but I figured Reddit would appreciate this one. Because honestly, looking back, it's almost funny. Almost. I'm Caleb, 29. I work in HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning. For people who don't know what that means, I'm the guy who shows up when your AC dies in July, and you're sitting in your living room, sweating through your third shirt of the day. It's not glamorous. My hands are rough, my truck smells like refrigerant, and I come home with grease under my nails pretty much every single day. But I'm good at it. Been doing it since I was 21. Got my certifications, built up a solid client list, and I pull in decent money. Not rich by any stretch, but I pay my bills, I've got savings, and I don't owe anybody anything. I was proud of that. Still am. My girlfriend Lauren and I had been together for 2.5 years. Met at a friend's cookout. She was 26, had this big laugh that you could hear from across the yard, and she roasted me within 5 minutes of meeting me because I put ketchup on a hot dog like a little kid. I told her at least I wasn't eating a burger with a fork and knife like some kind of alien pretending to be human. She laughed so hard she almost choked. We exchanged numbers that night, and were pretty much inseparable after that. Lauren was working as an office assistant at a small insurance company when we started dating. Normal job, normal hours. We'd get home around the same time, cook dinner together, argue about what to watch, fall asleep on the couch by 10. Classic boring couple stuff, and I loved every second of it. Her family liked me. My mom thought she was the greatest thing since sliced bread. We moved in together after about a year because we were already spending every night at one place or the other, and paying 2 rents felt stupid. Life was good. Real good. Then about 8 months ago, Lauren got a new job. She landed a position as an administrative coordinator at this high-end real estate firm downtown. The kind of place where everyone drives a European car, and the office has exposed brick and a cappuccino machine that probably costs more than my truck payment. She was pumped, and honestly, I was pumped for her. Better pay, better title, actual career trajectory. I took her out to celebrate, told her I was proud of her, because I was. At first, nothing really changed. She'd come home and tell me about the office, the agents, the listings. She was learning a lot and seemed excited about it. But after maybe a month or so, I started noticing little things. Tiny shifts that by themselves meant nothing, but together started painting a picture I didn't want to look at. First, it was the clothes. Lauren had always dressed nice, but now she was spending serious money on outfits. New heels, new bags, new everything. She said she needed to look the part, which I understood. You work in a fancy office, you dress fancy? Fine. But then she started making comments about my clothes too. Not mean exactly, but pointed. Like I'd be wearing my usual jeans and flannel on a Saturday, and she'd go, "You know they make shirts with buttons, right?" Or we'd be heading to dinner, and she'd look at my boots and say, "Maybe leave the work boots at home tonight." Little jabs wrapped in a smile. Then it was the weekends. Lauren started getting invited to things with her coworkers. Dinners, open houses that were really just parties for rich people, networking events at places I'd never heard of. At first, she'd invite me. But after I showed up to one of these things in my cleanest jeans and a button-down that I actually ironed, things got weird real fast. Lauren introduced me to maybe 2 people the entire night. Both times she said, "This is Caleb," and then immediately changed the subject before anyone could ask what I did for a living. At one point, I was standing by myself near the food table. They had these tiny sandwiches that were honestly pretty solid, and overheard one of the agents ask Lauren who I was. She said, "Oh, that's just my +1. Not my boyfriend, not Caleb, just her +1. Like I was a warm body filling a seat. I watched her work the room that night, laughing with people, doing that thing where she tilts her head and makes whoever she's talking to feel like the most important person alive. She used to do that with me. Now I was the guy standing alone eating appetizers, wondering if anyone would notice if I left. Nobody would have. I started getting the hint after that. The next event she got invited to, she just said, "It's more of a work thing, you'd be bored." I said okay and didn't push it. Then it happened more and more. Every Friday she had somewhere to be with the work people. Saturday afternoons turned into open house events. Sunday brunches with the girls from the office. I went from seeing my girlfriend every day to basically being her roommate, who she sometimes ate dinner with if she wasn't too tired from networking. I tried talking to her about it once. Just casual. "Hey, we haven't really hung out in a while. Want to do something this weekend? Just us?" She looked at me like I'd asked her to solve a calculus problem. I have that showing on Saturday, and then Jenna invited me to this paint class thing on Sunday. Maybe next weekend. Next weekend never came. But here's the thing that really started eating at me. Her social media. Lauren used to post us all the time. Stupid selfies, pictures of dinners I cooked, that video of me trying to ice skate and eating it in front of a group of kids. Normal couple stuff. But slowly over a few months I just disappeared from her accounts. Not deleted, just no new posts with me in them. Meanwhile, her feed was filling up with photos from work events, dinners with coworkers, her in these outfits posing in front of houses that cost more than I'd make in 10 lifetimes. 3 months of posts and not a single photo of me. Not one mention. If you looked at her page, you'd think she was single. And I know how that sounds. Insecure boyfriend counting Instagram posts. But when you go from being someone's whole world to not even existing on their phone screen, it does something to you. The real gut punch came on a Tuesday night. Lauren was on the couch next to me on a phone call with one of her coworkers, Kenzie. She thought I had my headphones in playing a game on my phone. I did have my headphones in, but nothing was playing. I could hear everything. Kenzie asked her if she was bringing anyone to the firm's annual gala. Big fancy event apparently. And Lauren laughed and said, "No, I'm going solo." Kenzie said, "What about your boyfriend?" And there was this pause. This tiny little pause that felt like it lasted an hour. And then Lauren said, "Oh, Caleb? No, he's more like my roommate at this point, honestly. We just share the apartment. It's not really like that anymore." Kenzie said, "Oh, I didn't know you guys broke up." And Lauren said, "It's complicated. We're not really together. It's more of a convenience thing. He helps with rent. 2.5 years. Holidays with each other's families. Inside jokes. That time I drove 4 hours in a snowstorm to pick her up when her car broke down on the highway. That time I stayed up all night with her when her grandma was in the hospital. That time I surprised her with a weekend trip because she'd been stressed. All of that reduced to, he helps with rent. I sat there on that couch, feeling like someone had poured ice water down my spine. She was 2 feet away from me laughing about something else now, completely unaware that I just heard every word. My first instinct was to confront her. Turn around and say, "Are you serious right now?" But something stopped me. Maybe it was the shock. Maybe it was the fact that I knew if I confronted her, she'd spin it. She'd say I was overreacting, that I took it out of context, that she was just being casual with a friend. And then somehow I'd end up apologizing for eavesdropping instead of her apologizing for erasing me from her life. So I didn't say anything. Not that night. Not the next day. Not the day after that. Hold on. This is me jumping in, not the OP. I need everyone to understand something about what just happened. This woman looked at a man who drove through a snowstorm for her, who sat in hospital waiting rooms at 3 in the morning, and she called him her roommate. Her convenience. The guy who helps with rent. That's like calling the Mona Lisa a wall decoration. This is some NPC behavior. She ran through every dialogue option in the relationship and picked the worst one each time. She's not playing chess with this man's feelings. She's playing Candy Crush and calling it strategy. Anyway, it gets worse. Obviously. Instead of blowing up, I started watching. Paying attention in a way I hadn't been because I'd been too busy trying to convince myself everything was fine. And once I started looking, I couldn't stop seeing it. She never held my hand anymore. Not in public, not at home. She'd angle her phone away when texting. She stopped saying "I love you" unless I said it first. And even then it was this flat little "love you too" that sounded more like a reflex than a feeling. When her coworkers called, she'd go to the other room. She was building a whole separate life, and I was standing on the outside of it watching through the glass like some idiot who couldn't take a hint. One night we were having dinner, leftover pasta, nothing special, and I brought up a trip we'd been talking about for our 3-year anniversary. It was coming up in 2 months. We'd been saying for a while we wanted to go somewhere warm. I mentioned it casually, and she literally changed the subject. Didn't even acknowledge I'd said it. Just started talking about some listing the firm had gotten. I brought it up again the next day. She said, "Oh, we'll figure it out later. I'm really busy right now." Later never came, just like next weekend. The thing about being invisible in your own relationship is that at first you make excuses. She's busy. New job is stressful. She's adjusting. And then one day you stop making excuses and you just see it for what it is. She's not busy. She's not adjusting. She just doesn't want you around anymore. But she's too comfortable to be the one who ends it. About a week after the phone call, I was at a job site replacing ductwork in an older building downtown. It was a Thursday. Wait, no, Friday. Doesn't matter. During lunch, I walked to this sandwich shop around the corner and ran right into Kenzie, Lauren's coworker, the one from the phone call. She recognized me from the one work event I'd been to months ago and said, "Hey, you're Lauren's." She trailed off. I could see her trying to figure out what to call me. Lauren's what? Boyfriend? Roommate? Guy who helps with rent? I just said, "Yeah, I'm Caleb, Lauren's boyfriend." And I watched Kenzie's face do this thing where she clearly wanted to say something but didn't know how. She just went, "Oh, okay, cool. Tell her I said hi." But something about the way she looked at me. It wasn't pity exactly. It was more like she knew something I was supposed to know and felt weird about it. That night, Lauren was getting ready to go out. Some dinner thing with a client, she said. She looked incredible, honestly. New dress, hair done, the whole production. She barely glanced at me when she grabbed her keys. "Might be late. Don't wait up." She didn't even ask how my day was. After she left, I sat in our apartment for a long time. Just sat there in the quiet, looking around at this place that was supposed to be ours. Her stuff was everywhere, but it felt like I was already gone. Like she'd mentally moved me out months ago and was just waiting for my body to follow. And that's when I made the decision. Not in some dramatic movie moment way. There was no music, no rain on the window. I was just sitting there on the couch eating leftover pasta straight from the container and thought, yeah, I'm done. But I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of a blow-up. No screaming match, no begging, no "what did I do wrong" conversation. She wanted a roommate? Fine. I'd give her exactly what she asked for. And then I'd give her nothing at all. The next day, I started making moves, quietly. I called my buddy Trent, who'd been telling me for months that the apartment above his garage was sitting empty if I ever needed a place. Told him I'd take it. He didn't ask questions, just said, "Come look at it after work." It was small but clean, and the rent was practically nothing, because Trent just wanted someone reliable up there. Then I started moving my stuff. Not all at once, that would have been obvious. Just a box here, a bag there. Clothes I knew she wouldn't notice were missing. My tools from the garage, important paperwork, my grandpa's watch from the nightstand. Every day I'd take a little more while she was at work or out with her new favorite people. She never noticed, not once. I took my entire winter coat collection out of the hall closet over 3 days. Gone. She walked past that closet every morning and never said a word. I removed the photos of us from my nightstand and replaced them with nothing. Just an empty surface. She slept next to that nightstand for a week straight and didn't blink. Actually, that's the part that messed me up the most. Not the phone call, not the roommate comment. The fact that I could physically remove myself from the apartment piece by piece, and she didn't even notice. One night I tested it. I took the framed photo from our trip to the coast, the one she used to say was her favorite picture of us, and put it face down on the shelf. It stayed face down for 5 days before I just took it. She never flipped it back up, never asked about it. I went to the leasing office and had a conversation about getting my name off the lease. They said Lauren would need to sign a new one on her own, or find someone else to add. Her problem, not mine. I separated everything financial too. We had a joint account for bills. I redirected my deposits, canceled my half of the streaming services, the internet, the renter's insurance. Not to be petty, but because none of it was going to be my responsibility in about 2 weeks, and I wanted clean cuts. The whole time Lauren had no clue. She was too busy living her double life. Yo, time out. Can we just appreciate the surgical precision of this man's exit strategy? Most guys would have had a meltdown, thrown clothes out a window, sent a paragraph text at 2 in the morning. This dude had a spreadsheet and a buddy with a garage apartment. That's not a breakup. That's project management with a grudge. He's removing winter coats in 3-day intervals like he's running a covert extraction mission. Tom Cruise is somewhere taking notes. And the best part? She didn't notice anything. Not the coats, not the photos, not the empty nightstand. She was so checked out she wouldn't have noticed if he replaced himself with a cardboard cutout. Buckle up because the gala is next. About 10 days into my quiet exit plan, Lauren came home actually excited to talk to me for once. The firm's annual gala was coming up, big deal event at some hotel downtown, and she needed a favor. So my mom keeps asking if she's going to meet my boyfriend at this thing, she said, scrolling through her phone while talking to me. Her mom was friends with one of the firm's partners. That's how Lauren got the job in the first place. She's been telling people about you. I almost laughed. Oh, so I exist now? Lauren looked up. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. So you want me to come to the gala? She hesitated. It's just, my mom's been talking about you to people, and if you don't show up, it'll look weird. Can you just come and be normal? Be normal. Like my existence at her work event was a chore she needed to manage. Like bringing her boyfriend of 2.5 years to a party was some kind of damage control mission. Sure, I said. I'll be there. She looked relieved. Great. And maybe wear something nice? Like actually nice. Not just your clean jeans. I nodded and she went back to her phone. She had no idea she just handed me the perfect stage for the final act. The gala was on a Saturday. I spent that day moving the last of my important stuff to Trent's place. Everything I cared about was out of the apartment. What was left was furniture and things I didn't need. By the time I was getting dressed, my side of the closet was practically empty. She didn't notice because she was too busy doing her hair for 2 hours. I put on a suit, a real one, navy blue, fit well. I'd bought it for a friend's wedding about a year back. Cleaned up nice when I wanted to. When I came out of the bathroom, Lauren actually stopped and looked at me. Like really looked at me for the first time in months. Wow, you look good, she said. Almost sounded surprised. Thanks. You ready? We drove separately because she said she might need to stay late. Fine by me. I had my own plans for after. The event was exactly what you'd expect. Fancy hotel ballroom. People in expensive clothes holding tiny plates of food that wouldn't fill up a 10-year-old. Lauren found me as soon as I walked in and immediately started steering me around. This is Caleb, she'd say. My boyfriend. Huge smile. Hand on my arm. Like she was proud. Like she hadn't spent months pretending I didn't exist. Her mom came over and gave me a hug. Caleb, so good to see you. Lauren talks about you all the time. I looked at Lauren. She didn't flinch, didn't even blink, just smiled and squeezed my arm tighter. All the time, huh? I played along for about an hour. Shook hands, made small talk, laughed at jokes that weren't funny. And the whole time I watched Lauren perform. Because that's what it was. A performance. She was playing the role of devoted girlfriend for an audience, and I was the prop she needed to make it convincing. When no one important was looking, she'd drift away, check her phone, barely acknowledge me. The second someone from the firm walked by, she was glued to my side again. At one point, she was introducing me to some senior agent, and the guy asked what I did. Before I could even open my mouth, Lauren jumped in. Caleb works in building systems and climate solutions. I almost choked on my shrimp. Building systems and climate solutions? Lady, I fix air conditioners. But she couldn't say that, could she? Couldn't tell her fancy coworkers that her boyfriend crawls through attics and sweats through his shirt replacing compressors. Had to dress it up like everything else in her new life. I just smiled and nodded. Sure. Climate solutions. That's me. I ended up talking to Kenzie near the food tables. Lauren had wandered off to schmooze with some agent. Kenzie seemed like she wanted to say something. Kept looking over at Lauren, then back at me with this uncomfortable expression. You seem like a good guy, Caleb, she finally said. I just think you should know that. Whatever's going on with you and Lauren, you seem like a really good guy. I appreciate that, I said. And I meant it. She paused. She talks about you differently when you're not around. I didn't say anything. I know, she said quietly, and I'm sorry. That settled it. Not that I needed confirmation at that point. But hearing someone from her world acknowledge it out loud, yeah, the last little flicker of doubt went out. Pause for a second. Building systems and climate solutions. I'm crying. This woman literally rebranded her boyfriend like he was a struggling startup going through a pivot. She put a LinkedIn headline on this man in real time. What's next? She gonna list him on her resume under special skills. Managed a high-performing domestic partner with expertise in thermal regulation. Meanwhile, Caleb's standing there holding a tiny shrimp knowing full well his closet at home is empty, and she still hasn't figured it out. If composure was a superpower, this man would be in the Avengers. Captain Cool under pressure. Origin story. Girlfriend tried to rebrand him at a gala. Now he fights crime in a Navy suit. About halfway through the evening, I found Lauren in the lobby talking to some guy I didn't recognize. Tall, expensive suit, the kind of haircut that costs $80. She was laughing and standing way too close. When she saw me, she took a step back. Caleb, this is Garrett. He's one of our top agents. Garrett shook my hand. Good grip, direct eye contact. He didn't seem like a bad guy, honestly. He probably had no idea Lauren had a boyfriend until 30 seconds ago. I looked at Lauren. She was watching me with this nervous energy, like she was waiting for me to cause a scene. That's what she expected. Some jealous boyfriend moment that would prove she was right to be embarrassed of me. Nice to meet you, man, I said to Garrett. Then I turned to Lauren. Hey, I'm gonna head out. Early morning tomorrow. Already? The relief that washed over her face. Man, that told me everything. She wanted me gone so she could go back to being single Lauren. Okay, drive safe. Quick little peck on the cheek, the kind you give your uncle at a family dinner. I walked out of that hotel and felt lighter than I had in months, like I'd been carrying something heavy and finally set it down. I drove straight to our apartment, grabbed the last box by the door. My keys, a note I'd written that morning. Put the keys on the kitchen counter and left the note next to them. The note said, Hey Lauren, moved out. Figured I'd make it official since you already told everyone we weren't together. The lease office knows you'll need to sign a new one or find someone else. I canceled my half of everything. Utilities are in your name now. Don't worry about the furniture, keep it. I left your favorite coffee mug on the counter. Take care of yourself. Caleb. No insults, no accusations, no paragraphs of feelings. Just facts. Clean, calm, and final. Then I drove to Trent's place, carried my last box up the stairs, and sat down on a folding chair in a mostly empty room. And I breathed. Actually breathed. For the first time in months. My phone started going off around midnight. Lauren must have come home and found the note. 6 missed calls in 10 minutes. Then the texts. Where are you? What is this? This isn't funny, Caleb. Call me back. Are you serious right now? You can't just leave like this. We need to talk. What did I do? What did I do? That one almost made me laugh out loud. Almost. I didn't respond. Not that night. She called 12 more times. Left 4 voicemails that I listened to the next morning while eating cereal in my new kitchen. The first one was angry. The second was confused. The third was crying. The fourth was angry again, but the kind of angry that's really just panic dressed up in a louder voice. Wait. What did I do? She said, what did I do? If lack of self-awareness was a competitive sport, this woman would be banned for performance enhancers. She spent months scrubbing this man from her Instagram, calling him her roommate, rebranding his job title at parties, and now she's standing in a half-empty apartment going, what did I do? Like someone rearranged the furniture while she was out. Ma'am, he removed himself from the apartment in stages over 2 weeks, and you didn't notice your own closet getting emptier. That's not a breakup. That's a magic trick. And the magician already left the building. Caleb, wherever you are eating that cereal, respect. 2 days later, I finally texted her. One message, said I wasn't coming back, that I'd heard the phone call with Kenzie weeks ago, that I knew she'd been telling people we weren't together, and that I was just making her story match reality. No hard feelings. Wished her well. She called immediately. I didn't pick up. She texted a wall of text. How she didn't mean it. How she was just trying to fit in at work. How it was stupid, and she was sorry. How she loved me, and this was all a misunderstanding. Funny how it's a misunderstanding now. When I was standing right there in the apartment, it was just how things were. But the second I'm gone, suddenly it's a mistake. Her mom called me. That was the hardest one. She was genuinely sweet about it. Said she had no idea Lauren was acting that way, and that I deserved better. I told her I appreciated everything she'd done for me, and that her daughter was going to be fine. She just needed to figure out what she actually wanted instead of keeping one foot in two different lives. Lauren showed up at my job site 3 days later. Just pulled into the parking lot and sat in her car until I came out for lunch. She looked rough. No makeup, hair pulled back, wearing a hoodie I recognized as one she'd stolen from me early in our relationship. Eyes red like she'd been crying all morning, or hadn't slept in days. Probably both. She asked if we could talk. I said there wasn't much to talk about. She said she messed up. I said yeah, she did. She said she wanted another chance, and started listing all these things she'd do differently. She'd post about me on social media. She'd bring me to every work event. She'd tell everyone at the firm about her amazing boyfriend. And honestly, that made it worse. Because she still didn't get it. She thought the problem was scheduling. Like if she just adjusted her social media strategy and her event calendar, everything would be fixed. She didn't understand that the problem was she looked at me one day and decided I wasn't good enough for the life she was building. And no amount of Instagram posts was going to undo that. I told her that the version of herself she'd been showing to those people at work, the single girl with no attachments who was too good for her HVAC boyfriend. That's who she chose to be. I was just respecting her choice. She cried, right there in the parking lot. And 6 months ago, that would have destroyed me. I would have folded, told her it was okay, let her convince me things would be different. But standing there in my work boots and my company shirt with grease on my hands, I realized something. She wasn't crying because she missed me. She was crying because the safety net was gone. The apartment was going to be expensive alone. The image she'd built at work was about to crumble because her mom had already been telling everyone about her boyfriend, and now there was no boyfriend. The guy she'd been standing close to at the gala, he was just a guy at work. He wasn't going to step up the way I did. Nobody was. She wasn't losing me. She was losing what I provided. The stability, the reliability, the person who'd always be there no matter how badly she treated him. I told her I hoped she figured things out, and I meant it. I didn't hate her. Wasn't even angry anymore. I was just done. Final update. The weeks after that were quiet in the best way. I'd wake up in my new place, make coffee in my little kitchen, drive to work, come home, cook dinner, watch whatever I wanted. No one making me feel like I wasn't enough. No one pretending I didn't exist until they needed something. Trent told me through mutual friends that Lauren was struggling. The apartment was too expensive on her own. She'd been scrambling to find a roommate. Turns out it's hard to find one on short notice when your rent is built for 2 incomes. A couple of her work friends had distanced themselves once the truth came out that she'd been lying about being single while having a live-in boyfriend. Apparently, the gala was particularly awkward because her mom had been telling everyone about her wonderful boyfriend Caleb, and then people started connecting that with what Lauren had been saying privately. One of the partners apparently pulled her aside and asked if she'd been misrepresenting her personal life to colleagues. Not a great conversation when you've been at a company less than a year. Not a good look when your job is built on trust and relationships. The mutual friends thing was interesting too. Our friend group kind of split at first. Some people heard Lauren's version, that I blindsided her and left without warning. But then the real story started getting around. The phone call, the roommate comment, the months of being hidden. People changed their tune quick. My buddy Will, who I hadn't talked to in a while, texted me and said, "Dude, I had no idea. She told everyone you guys were great." I told him that's the whole point. She was great at telling people things that weren't true. Last week I was finishing up a job at a restaurant that needed their whole system overhauled. Big project, good money. The owner was this older guy named Ray, who'd been in the restaurant business for 30 years. We got to talking while I was packing up my tools, and he asked how business was going. I told him things were good, that I'd actually been thinking about going independent, starting my own operation. I had the skills, the certifications, the client relationships. Just hadn't pulled the trigger. Ray looked at me and said, "Son, the people who wait for the perfect time to start never start." Good advice from a guy who opened his first restaurant with $600 and a borrowed pizza oven. I went home that night and started sketching out a business plan. Nothing fancy, just numbers, timelines, what I'd need. Sat there at my little desk in my little apartment and realized I was excited about something for the first time in a long time. Not because someone else made me feel that way, because I did it myself. Oh, and one more thing. Kenzie texted me last week, completely out of nowhere. She'd left the real estate firm for a different company and just wanted me to know she'd always felt bad about how things went down. Said Lauren had been telling a very different version at work, making it sound like I abandoned her, that I was the one who checked out. I told Kenzie the truth, all of it. The phone call, the months of being hidden, the gala performance, the note. She sent back one message. Wow. Then after a minute, she sent another one. You want to grab coffee sometime? Not in a weird way. I just think you're good company, and I could use more of that. I said, sure, why not? We're getting coffee this Saturday. No expectations, no games, no pretending to be something I'm not. Just two people being honest with each other. Imagine that. Lauren texted me yesterday. 3 months of silence and then out of nowhere. I hope you're doing well. I miss what we had. I looked at that message for about 10 seconds. Then I put my phone down, went back to my business plan spreadsheet, and didn't reply. She missed what we had. Nah, she missed what I gave. And that's not the same thing. So Reddit, would you have done anything differently? Because I've been going back and forth on whether leaving the way I did was the right move. But honestly, I don't think you can abandon someone who already decided you weren't there. Look, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend Caleb's some perfect dude who never made a mistake. But when your girlfriend is out here rebranding your job title, wiping you from her Instagram, and telling coworkers you're the guy who helps with rent, you don't argue about it. You make the story true. That's not petty. That's just matching energy with a receipt attached. And starting a business plan the same month, that's a glow up that doesn't need a filter. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What would you have done differently? And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that button because we hit stories like this every single day and you don't want to miss the next one.